I'd like to call the meeting to order. The Board of Leavenworth County Commission. I'd like to invite everyone to stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. For the record, all three commissioners are present. Would like to start with a moment of silence. I'd like to open up with public comment. Any citizens desiring to speak on an item that is directly relevant to the County Commission business may do so at this time. A speaker shall refrain from making personal, rude, slanderous remarks against any person. Individuals, personnel, issues, and pending legal matters shall not be discussed in open meetings, including the citizen comment portion of the meeting. Anyone wishing to come forward and speak?
James Berry, District 1. I get there's a big movement out in the communities to go to a 5-member board at the next election. I just wanted to know if the county commissioners have a personal opinion about that, and if you would support such an endeavor. At your level, you guys have the ability to put that on the ballot without having a petition and all that rigmarole going through. I just would like to know if you'd be in favor of that.
I have made 3 motions to put that on the ballot, and all 3 times I was voted down.
Mr. Smith, your opinion?
I've been open about putting a committee together to study it, to see how we're going to grow government without more cost. But we were going to put that committee together in January, but I've understand since then there may be a petition going around, and that's fine.
Well, I understand the petition's out there. I also understand that you as a board can make this happen put it on the ballot for next year without a petition.
And that's right. We've got plenty of time between now and November to do that after we study it.
Sure.
And put a committee together with people in the community on it.
But if the people in the community were in favor, you would support that?
I'll support what the committee comes up with, yes.
Mr. Clamp?
As long as it doesn't cost to grow government.
Well, it does cost to grow government.
It costs to grow government?
It always does. Taxpayers know that.
Okay.
Once the map
Is your mic on, Commissioner Clamp?
Once I've been known to be against it, and once the map comes out and the petition comes in, petitions are very good. I've done many petitions, and it takes time and labor, and then you really appreciate what you're putting before the people. So once the petition comes in, I will do whatever needs to be done to get it on the ballot, and I will probably...
Well, if the petition comes in, they don't need you. That's
the
bottom line.
They need us not to be against necessarily. They need us, hopefully, to be in favor of what they're wanting to do, and I will be against it.
I think if they get their petition signed, doesn't matter what the 3
No,
of you
it doesn't
think.
matter.
They can go around you. That's the whole point of the petition. My thing is, instead of a bunch of people getting out here and scaring the community, you guys make it an issue that you address.
I'd like to make one more comment. I had a proposal in front of this commission that would not cost taxpayers any more money. But again, it went down to defeat because even though you put this out for a petition and it gets on the ballot and it's approved, this commission still has the right to raise the pay for all 5 commissioners. Where I proposed was to take the salaries of the 3 commissioners and split them 5 ways, and it would not cost county taxpayers 1 cent.
Can you do that with a sitting commissioner, though, that took a position with a salary, basically a contract? We don't like contracts, and we all get it, it's just a term. But basically, if you take a position as commissioner, you are you're permanently under contract for this many dollars per year for your time. Is that not the way you take it?
We have not signed a contract.
You don't sign a contract. I'm saying it's a verbal agreement that you have, that you think you're entitled to so many dollars per year for your service.
I would be willing to give up half my salary.
I'm short term. I will up the salary. I know what these people go through,
Sure.
and I will up the salary. I'll vote to up the salary because they well deserve it.
All right.
But that's only one vote now.
Yeah.
Anyone else wishing to speak at this time?
Jeff Heim from the 1st District, and I represent the Leavenworth County Conservation District Board of Supervisors. I didn't see myself on the agenda, so,
Yeah, you are on the
Yeah,
agenda.
you are on the
Yeah,
agenda.
you are on the
okay, so I'll just come back up that time.
All right,
Discuss it.
thank you. Anyone else? Then we'll close this portion of public comment. We have any administrative business this time, Mr. Lawfrey?
We do have a couple items. First, I'd just like to let you know, it's been brought to my attention, there will be an opening on the Port Authority. So if y'all have recommendations, if you want to get those to me, I'll put them in the packet for the rest of the board to consider. And I'll notify the city of Leavenworth that if you come up with anyone. So the position that's opening is somebody who's represented the south end of the county for a very long time. So
I brought this issue up in years past, and I don't understand. We completely fund the Port Authority, am I not?
yes, 100% of the funds for the Port Authority come from Leavenworth County.
Why do we have to get permission from Leavenworth City?
Well, I'm not 100% sure on that, but I believe it's because when the Port Authority was formed, that is the way it was made up, was through the articles incorporating it, basically, that it identified who participated and how that worked out.
Why not have Lansing, Baser, Edgewood, Linwood, Easton,
Yeah.
Tonganoxie? Why don't they get a vote?
All good questions.
Because they give the same amount that, I don't know.
Yeah.
They get the same, they give the same amount the city of Leavenworth does. Nothing.
I understand.
Why don't we have them look into what is the background, because I agree with you to an extent, because I also have an individual that I have an opening on the planning board, which we haven't been able to come up with anybody wanting to be on the planning board.
And nobody's applied?
Nobody's applied. And the 3 people I came up with were all in Bob's district, so.
Yeah, I've had several that want to be
Yeah.
on it,
I've had
but
a
they're in
couple
my
too, but
district.
I told them it's 2nd district.
Yep, so we need to come up with somebody for the planning board, and at the same time, you can be investigating what Bob has mentioned, and,
Well, I think the individual that resigned is in the 3rd district.
yep,
On
in the 3rd
planning-
district.
Or on the Port Authority.
Board Authority, yep.
And I think it should be replaced with somebody down in that district,
Right.
my opinion.
My opinion too.
So, anyways,
I'll look into that.
All right.
And bring that back to you. And if any of you have, again, in the meantime, if any of you come up with names that you'd like for
I do
consideration.
have one name.
If you can get those to me, then I'll put them in a packet so everybody knows
Okay.
they're coming.
I'll
And
bring
this-
them.
It is from the 3rd district.
Okay.
We'll go ahead and do the employee of the month then.
All right.
Jennifer Anderson has been chosen as our employee for the month of December. And I want to just say congratulations to her. And Jennifer's been an employee for Leavenworth County for 17 years, has done an outstanding job processing the payroll. Always make sure it's done, always make sure everyone gets a paycheck, and so we just want to say congratulations.
So she's the most important person in Leavenworth County.
I tell you what.
Sometimes.
On
Wednesday.
on
Every 2
payday,
weeks.
Every other
she
week.
is the most important person.
Right.
So, anyway, congratulations,
All right,
Jennifer.
congratulations, Jennifer. Enjoy your parking spot.
Yeah.
Thank you.
17 years, that's quite an
Yep.
accomplishment.
Thank you very much.
You're halfway through.
Yeah.
I only have 15 left.
Okay.
A little over the top.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
Jennifer?
Yes.
And then I did have one other item. We had an update on 182nd Street, the project that we're working on as far
Oh,
as
okay.
expenses.
Anyone here from 186?
Not that
Oh.
180.
Oh,
Let me
okay.
clarify.
You got more than one?
Yes. Public Works is requesting approval of the updated budget for the 182nd KTA realignment project. Public Works requests that the budget for the project be increased $60,000 to cover easement acquisition and utility relocation costs. Funds are available in the capital improvement line item to cover this increase in budget for that project.
Previously, the board had approved the construction and design, and as they're going through, it was more like a design-build project, I guess.
Right.
And as they're going through it, they've identified some utilities that need to be relocated and a little bit of right-of-way that needs to be acquired. So that wasn't part of the original request, so Mr. Lucian's just asking for the additional funds to finish that project.
Any questions, Commissioner?
So there wasn't a need in the budget itself to do this, this is just,
It's in the project budget has the money available
Okay.
to cover this.
It was
So
a,
we're not going to short any other projects?
No, not at all.
it was a KTA bridge project, so we
Okay.
kind of, it wasn't on our schedule, it was on their schedule.
On their
and
schedule.
We are responsible for the approaches.
very good.
So,
Motion,
What do you need
motion
to-
to approve?
Got a motion?
Second.
All right, got a motion and a second, voting?
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, David. Anything else? Any presentation this time? You want to do soil conservation now, or you want to do it at the end?
Either one is fine.
Well, I'd like to get him out of here as quick as possible. I'm
Sure,
sure
yeah,
he's
you might
busy.
as well. We can do that as a presentation, that's fine.
No, he's-
Gotcha. Like I said, I'm Jeff Heim from the First District, and I represent the Leavenworth County Soil Conservation District Board of Supervisors. Over the past few years, we've kind of had some issues in the Soil Conservation District because we are an office that is outside of the Farm Service Agency and NRCS building in Oskaloosa. Most of the other districts in the state of Kansas are with Farm Service Agency, even our own Farm Service Agency board that is in Leavenworth County meets in Jefferson County out there. So what we are proposing to do is to close our office in Leavenworth County and move out to the Jefferson County office, use their district manager, try to just experience some of the advantages that we would have being in the building with NRCS. Because currently we receive all of our technical assistance from NRCS, and in our operating agreement, we provide them with administrative assistance. And since we are 30 miles away from them, we essentially don't do any administrative assistance for them. Actually, their district manager does all of the all of the administrative assistance for Leavenworth County. The Jefferson County employee does. So we've decided that that's the way we want to go, and what we are interested in is, and Jefferson County is also interested in, that we will continue to be funded going forward in 2019 and beyond if we are not in Leavenworth County.
Do you have to pay lease on the building out there, any
No.
space? You don't have to pay any
No,
space?
no lease.
And we're paying lease space now here.
Yes, yes.
So you're more or less operating as an annex office?
Absolutely, absolutely. Out there, you know, even the paper, NRCS provides the paper for them, and they're they don't provide the paper. Just, I mean, little things like that.
Well, it adds up to bigger things.
Well, absolutely. I mean, that's really is the beginning of it,
Yeah.
you know. So.
You guys got any questions? It just seems like it's a more efficient way to operate
And
the office.
it is, I mean,
As long as you, what have the users of the system said?
Well, I mean, if it's phrased in a way that looks like, well, you know, there's not going to be a presence in Leavenworth County now, you know, you're no longer going to get the service. I mean, it could look like you would get poor service, but I mean, as it is, you know, really everybody deals with our office by phone anyway. I mean, some of the things our district manager does, he does go out and look at some, you know, septic cost share things that we provide, does a few things like that, which will be more difficult to do from Oskaloosa. But, you know, as a board, I think if we get those complaints, you know, we're just going to have to address those. But everybody in Leavenworth County, they go to either Douglas County, Jefferson County, or Atchison County, and maybe even into Wyandotte County, to do all of their NRCS and Farm Service Agency paperwork. So it's not going to be really any change.
Well, we know we're saving money, or do we supplement them anything for having done this, or is it just,
Supplement NRCS.
yes?
Well, that's our operating agreement is, you know, that we provide, you know, I mean, we're responsible for all of the education programs,
Okay.
all of those things. Like I said, they do technical assistance. They lay out, you know, projects, water quality projects, things like that. NRCS provides annually about $400,000 to our county through environmental quality programs like the CRP programs, things like that. But there's also, you know, plenty of you know, animal waste programs, things like that.
You're looking for a motion to close the FSA office and move to Tonganoxie?
No, I think that's up to their board to do. What
Okay.
they were looking for is, they just want to make sure that this board would continue to support them through the budgetary process,
Okay.
because we do fund them, and they didn't want to risk
This is a
losing that
board
funding.
made up of Leavenworth County
Right.
residents.
Yeah, they still have a board.
I don't
Yeah,
have
we'll
any-
have a board. Like I said, right now, we're approved for $55,000 in funding from Leavenworth County. We get, and it always changes from the state, you know, we get matching funds, $23,000 from them. And then, of course, we get all the cost share money, which has, you know, dwindled down every year, but, you know, we'll run between $20,000 and $25,000 in cost share programs, specific programs that the state provides. And of course, if Jefferson or if Leavenworth County doesn't fund the conservation district, then we won't get the matching funds from the state. We probably won't get the cost share funds from the state either.
I
And
don't
then
have
we'll probably get poor ratings from NRCS as well.
I don't have any problems with it.
Okay. Is that a motion then?
You need a motion?
Well, I don't know if there's a motion.
I
I'm
don't-
just
yeah.
looking for a general sentiment of
Just looking for a
support.
consensus that we would continue to
I'll give you
support
one
them.
of three consensus, okay?
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
all right.
Jefferson County's, before we go forward, obviously they want to know because
Yeah.
Yeah,
they're sharing some of
very
it.
good.
All right.
Thank you
All right,
very much.
thank you.
Consent agenda.
Yeah, does commissioners got any questions on the items on the consent agenda?
I'm just looking over quickly on the, see, Bob did the motion on the consensus, and that's January the 1st. I guess there's no questions. Oh, yes, one on the holiday schedule. I think that from now on, it ought to be done by a committee of, and they can pull up their own list of what holidays are there. And I think probably the best statement that came out of that was, I think by the clerk, said the days that we really should be off are the days that the banks are closed. That's a very good day to be off, and most of those are federal holidays. So that's just my personal opinion. So I think some kind of a board ought to say this is what we're recommending.
Well,
And
I've got a statement on that. When I stop and thought of my vote last Thursday on the holiday schedule, these two holidays, I think at one time were grouped together with other holidays. After saying that, I got to thinking, you know, that maybe there's going to be lots of people out there, citizens, taxpayers, that are off also and want to come to the courthouse to do their business and take care of stuff so they don't have to take another day off. So is this something we ought to consider rather than just because the banks are closed? I'm considering rescinding my vote on Thursday's motion.
Really, what you have in front of you, what you're discussing right now is the consent agenda.
Right.
If there was a
And
correction that
and
needed
I
to be
wanna-
made to the
minutes.
minutes or something.
I thought Mr.
So-
Plemp wanted to pull the holiday session.
No, I've just,
Out.
no.
I don't think you can pull it out. You made the motion, and, I mean, you have to record that in the minutes. This is just an approval of those minutes. If you want to add that as a discussion item
I do.
going forward, you know, we can put that back on the agenda and discuss
Yes.
it further.
I do,
But
because I
as of
think-
now, you're just approving the minutes that noted what happened
Minutes,
last week.
registry.
And the check register and a few OCP.
I move to approve the minutes.
But it was a
The
2-to-1
consent
vote
agenda.
on the holiday schedule. And if I rescind my vote, then it's 2-to-1 the other way.
It's still part of the official minutes from last meeting.
Right,
So what you're considering right now is the consent agenda.
right.
Got a motion to approve the consent agenda? I'll second it. Voting?
Aye.
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 Have anything else for us?
I don't.
And I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Nope,
Second.
I got some items,
Okay,
very, very fast items.
all right.
Bob brought up, and we haven't finished it, the approximate $1,500 membership. Has that been finalized for the,
Yeah, I've already sent notification over to
thank
them.
you, that answers that one. This is sort of a comment. I have been appointed by the Republican Party to help the county run better by adding another opinion. I found, after reviewing my recent comments, I found disappointing and lacking in clarity. I agree with Commissioner Holland when he was quoted on the topic of holidays discussed in last week's commission meeting. We spent 8 minutes on an issue that should have taken 30 seconds. He is correct. Our taxpayers deserve a more efficient meeting. In the future, we need to have a committee on vacations, and I mentioned that. We also need to discuss the new meeting schedule being set up. I think a night meeting at some other place other than the courthouse will not work in the best interest of the overall community. Okay, that's that one. Last Thursday, I brought up the subjects of elected officers being able to run their budgets after being approved by us. I have never been one to contest this. In fact, in the past, I have mentioned numerous times that once the budget is approved, they shouldn't have to come up to us for approval. And I mentioned also at that time that there was a thought going around, not a thought, an actual statement going around by 2 department heads that this would come to some kind of a head in the future, and it has. I also brought this up some time ago when, as I said, when the county was sort of threatened by 2 elected officials. The new questions are, if not in their budget, are they violating the budget since only we can do the mill levy and tax? How can they spend money that is not in this year's budget or in the 2018 budget? We do the budgets, followed by setting the mill levy to collect the funds from the taxpayers. So are we allowing them to violate our own fiducial responsibility to the taxpayers? And since the county attorney isn't here, I also had, what are the administrator's thoughts on this process?
Once the board approves the budget for an elected official, how they spend the funds within that budget is statutorily their responsibility. So as long as they don't overspend what you approve in their budget, then they are within statutory authority.
So what we're saying is in all the slush funds, and I'm going to be a vocal person on slush funds, and that's what these are. And all the slush funds that are in different people's budgets, if we remove those, then they can no longer appoint and hire outside what is in their budget, and they can no longer give excessive pay raises that are not in the budget.
Again, it's, the funds that are within their budget are under their statutory authority to spend how they believe is best to run their department. If, I don't know, I guess the slush fund comment, I'm not comfortable with that or understand what you're getting at there, but if they have the budgetary authority and they don't spend, let's say they've budgeted $800,000, as long as they stay within the $800,000, how they spend that $800,000 is statutorily under their authority. It's not under this board's after the budget's approved.
And
If you're referring to like equipment reserves and capital reserves, those are different.
my
Yes.
understanding is the elected officials have the right to hire and fire as long as it's in the policy on the termination. They can't, they're not supposed to terminate for, oh, I don't like your dress this morning. You're terminated.
Actually, the state statutes and the Attorney General have ruled that hiring, firing, promotion, and demotion is all within the authority of the elected department heads, as well as the expenditure of funds within their departments. The guideline is that they should follow our policies if they are equally applicable, but the reality is there's no ramifications if they don't.
So what you're saying is we have 6 budgets. We don't have one budget. We have 6. We have the county attorney, we have the sheriff, register of deeds, the clerk, and the
Treasurer.
Treasurer. Now, we know some time ago, the treasurer went out and agreeing with you, and I don't know whether it was Dennis or Flowers, somebody, whenever you started the disagreement with the treasurer, we knew that she, at that time, had gone forward and done things that this board did not agree with.
No, that's not correct.
Okay, corrected, that's right.
It's a state statute that anything that's left over in the motor vehicle department at the end of the year transfers to the county, to this
Right.
entity, and that's a state statute. She doesn't do it.
That was the only thing you were suing on.
Yes.
Okay.
We tried to, but she sued us before we could
Okay.
even do anything about it.
See, the point is, I'm agreeing with you. She ought to transfer those
Well,
funds.
the point is, back then, was that she owed us $200,000 plus dollars, and she paid us $38,000. You know,
That was all resolved. There was an agreement that was entered into and
Yeah,
by
and I
this
voted no
board
on the
and-
agreement.
And by the treasurer. That's been resolved. I don't.
Well, it's been resolved, but now this year, she's going to have funds available.
Right.
Is she going to transfer those to the county? And at the same time now, are we going to, she used a 30-day, 60-day, 90-day period where she doesn't have the money to start off paying those people out of that fund. So that's where I'm going with this, is we need to get the money from her, but we need to,
Well, it starts out that the money that is left over at the end of the
Okay.
year has to be transferred by a certain, I can't remember the date, but it has to be transferred at a later date, that amount of money.
so I'm agreeing with you, but she has to be budgeted if she does not have the funds to run that department forward. So
And at
we
that-
have to do that budget to give her the funds.
And I was chairman at the time, and as that private meeting went on, we were told by our now county councilor again, that we were kind of in a hard spot here because we were mandated to make sure she had money to spend.
Right.
But yet she spent every bit of that tax money
Okay.
You know, and that's her right, but.
So going forward, we need to correct that.
Right.
We pay her to run her department, she gives us the funds, and we need to make sure that these extra funds aren't in these other departments. How many is in Public Works? And we'll do a transfer so they can use it this year. So we're really, and that's all right, transferring for roads, but
Exactly,
transferring
as
for
long as we
hiring people.
transfer it for road projects.
But transferring for hiring people and giving increases in pay is not necessarily correct.
Well, I think when they come in for any carryover, we can spell that out.
Very good. That's what I want to hear.
Well, the judicial system, I believe they refund whatever they don't use every year.
Who does?
The judicial system.
The judicial system across the street,
Okay, the court.
the judges, the
courts.
court system.
Yeah, okay.
I think they refund, it's not a lot of money, but,
Yeah.
I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it's not a
Yeah.
lot of money. But it's still, I think,
Okay.
$20,000 they refund to the county.
Okay.
And then when they come to the budget time, then they present basically the same budget. I don't think they've raised it in several years, to my knowledge. But that's what is supposed to be done.
Well, I spent the weekend. Ammunition at the jail has been the same for years. Now, the FBI, you better count the shells. And they keep track of the ammunition used, but how can it be the same? And you look at so many items, not just in the sheriff's, in everybody else's budget. Never changes. How can that be?
Probably because they have scheduled shooting range practice, stuff like that.
Okay, very good.
I mean,
But-
that's just me, I'm not,
My point on the treasurer is, it's a state statute that we do this. And the state statute says if she doesn't give us the money, then we have the right to take her to court and get the money.
Okay,
but I think hasn't it already been to court and something was resolved?
No, it never was to court. It was
Okay, it
resolved
got
before.
resolved.
it was-
Okay.
resolved.
So once it's resolved, it's resolved.
But that was for that one term. That's
So,
not
But I
forever.
think if we fund her budget going forward, I don't think there will be a problem with her returning her excess funds.
Okay.
So,
So
well-
is that something we need to deal with in the budget season?
Yes.
Yes, all this is good discussion for the budget.
For the budget. We'll may bring this up about July, Commissioner. That'd be all right?
Well, we're going to do for the taxpayers.
When does the
this-
budget start? When-
January 1?
No, I mean, when do we start?
Start working in May.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Get real heavy into it in July.
I think, I'd like Mark to find out when,
That'll all be resolved.
Yep, appreciate it. Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay.
is that your way of saying you don't want to discuss it anymore?
I'm saying it's really not on the agenda. It was already resolved. There's no issue with it right now, so I'd rather not discuss it, something.
I'll second that,
doesn't
Bob.
exist.
That's what he's doing.
Okay.
I moved to adjourn.
All right.
You
I'll
already have a
second it.
motion. You already have a motion and a
All
second.
right, I made the motion.
Second.
You second. Voting? Aye.
Aye.